first want to start by thanking Senator Cardin for coming to the Ashburton water filtration plant. We have something in common in that we both grew up in walking distance from here. And I want to thank him for joining us on the short tour that we just completed. Senator Cardin, you have been a strong advocate for Baltimore and for our water system. I want to thank you, and I want to thank Director Chow for leading us on this tour, but for what you both do to help our water supply, not just for the residents of Baltimore, but for the surrounding jurisdictions as well. Today, more than ever, we as a city and as a country must be vigilant when it comes to our drinking water. In this age of heightened terrorism concerns, ensuring the protection of our facilities and the water supply is a top priority. But we also need to remember and focus on the basics. The product that we produce must not only be reliable, but it also must have the highest quality, beneficial and not harmful to the citizens and the customers who use it for bathing, drinking, and cleaning. And let me say right here and now, Baltimore has some of the finest drinking water in the world. And we can thank Director Chow and his team at the Department of Public Works for all of their hard work to make this happen. Please let's give the whole DPW team a round of applause. Thank you all. And so what we've seen in Flint, the shortcuts, incompetence, lack of transparency, and worse, has led to a crisis that will last for at least a generation. Residents, especially children, were poisoned. Neither Flint nor any other community in our country should be shortchanged when it comes to the responsibilities of the local, state, and federal governments to ensure clean drinking water. As the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, I and my fellow mayors of both parties have advocated for federal infrastructure investment. And when you look at Flint, a root cause was money not being there to refurbish and replace old infrastructure years ago. This must change. Both parties need to come together now, today, not tomorrow, to provide funds to expedite this important work. If we can send a man to the moon, we can send clean drinking water to the people of our country. Our priorities as a nation must be the same as the needs of our citizens. Clean drinking water must be at the top of the list. In Baltimore, we've undertaken this work of infrastructure renewal, and the burden of the cost is on our citizens is staggering. The work must be done, or we'll end up with broken mains, more damaged roadways and properties, and more disruptions in services to homes and our local businesses. I applaud you, Senator Cardin, along with Senator Durbin, for your actions in pushing the CLEAR Act to ensure safer drinking water for American communities. It is my sincere wish that it moves quickly through Congress. It is also my deepest hope that along with this legislation will come critical infrastructure funding. We must lessen the financial burden on our citizens and provide an opportunity for all communities, regardless of their income, to have clean water and to eliminate lead hazards. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to turn things over to Director Chow. As I do, I would also like to mention how much I appreciated Director Chow recently traveling to Flint as a part of the delegation from the U.S. Conference of Mayors to help provide some important technical advice through their water crisis. Director Chow?
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, Senator Cardin. Well, the Mayor certainly speaks for all of her in her call for more infrastructure investment, and that includes all the thousands of mayors throughout the country who had to deal with aging pipes and plants and coupled with unfunded mandates. As the Mayor noted, we have been moving forward in Baltimore at great cost in infrastructure renewal. We realize that waiting is not an option. Let me note that while Flint, Michigan is on everyone's mind, Baltimore is fortunate in that we have excellent source waters, cast iron mains, and we balance the pH of our product to reduce corrosion. We continuously monitor our water quality, and we rank among the best cities in the nation in the water tasting and purity. To keep it that way, we are doing many tasks at once, beginning with our reservoirs. We have taken steps to address invasive species and to lessen the human impact on our trails and our woodlands. We manage the excellent fishery and the wildlife. We have also done major renovations of our dam, most importantly doubling the thickness of Loch Raven Dam in the last decade. We also work with other states and counties in managing the protecting the Susquehanna River, which is an additional source of drinking water for the metropolitan areas as needed. We have stepped up our effort in water infrastructure renewal to get us on a 100-year replacement cycle. We have used the latest technology to investigate our large mains and to fix problems before they having serious consequences. We have covered our Towson and Montebello II finished drinking water reservoirs to protect those vital assets. And work will soon begin at Guilford and to be followed by Lake Ashburton and Drew Hill Lake as well. These locations will not only be protected, but they will be beautified and enhanced for their community. We have renovated pumping stations, and we are planning for construction of a new water filtration plant in Fullerton. And finally, we have enhanced our customer service, and with the new multimeter program, we are working to ensure accurate, timely metering and billing of our customers. This will also enable us to quickly spot leaks, to protect our customers, and to reduce water loss. This is not even touching on all of our projects and mandates in wastewater and stormwater. Let me echo what the mayor has said. We encourage a spirit of bipartisan cooperation in Congress to move us forward with the resources we need to complete this work. By doing so, no child in this nation will ever again have to face the nightmare of lead poisoning. By doing so, we can certainly contain these costs and ensure quality drinking water for generations to come. Thank you. With that, I'd like to turn this mic over to Senator Cardin.
Well, Director Chow, first thank you very much for arranging us, the mayor and I, to be able to tour the facility. I was telling the mayor I pass this facility, I guess, twice a day on the way to City College, walking here to catch the bus to go over to City College. I never knew what was inside of this place. I was always amazed by the site, but I knew I had good drinking water. And the plants that were built in Baltimore 100 years ago, this is a little over 60 years ago, were built with the idea of using the latest technology for drinking water for the people of Baltimore. They also had a very efficient idea, using gravity to save money. So this was state of the art. It was the best in not only in the United States, but in the world for safe drinking water. The facilities are old. I want to congratulate Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake for her leadership, not only in Baltimore, but her national leadership on this issue on behalf of the mayors. She has testified in Washington and has come up with creative ways that we can have federal partnerships to improve our water infrastructure. So she's providing leadership for our country, recognizing the challenge that we face in safe drinking water and in clean water. So let me just put this in context. I had a chance to look at the facilities here and see that we're using the best technology to keep the water safe and clean water, but there are challenges. There are challenges because of age. These are old systems that need to have major improvements. There's a lot of water mains in Baltimore that need to be repaired and fixed. We had the challenges of climate change, which is more severe weather conditions, which put a stress on clean water in our community. We have the heightened concern about terrorism and keeping our water supplies safe. All that adds to the cost. So the Environmental Protection Agency has estimated, Madam Mayor, that in the next 20 years, our water infrastructure demands in America exceed $600 billion. Now, you can understand that. I was going over what the replacement of one plant would be in Baltimore, about $500 million. You start talking about replacing water pipes that are, in some cases, 100 years old that need to be replaced. We're wasting a lot of water through leakages. We have water main breaks that create public hazards. All that requires attention. $600 billion nationwide, and Baltimore would need its share of that $600 billion in order to be in the forefront again, nationwide and worldwide, on having the best water infrastructure in the world. Well, we appropriate on the state revolving funds, which are used for safe drinking water and clean water, about $2 billion a year. So one of the bills that I've introduced would triple that amount to $6 billion a year, which is an amount that I've been told we could easily get under contract and done, which would help our economy and help our infrastructure. And for those who are looking at a comparison, that would take us back to the level Congress appropriated in 2009. In 2009. So this is not a dramatic change from the point of view of what we were making available, but would make a dramatic improvement in the federal partnership in helping our cities and helping our communities so that we can avoid the next Flint. I know in Flint they did intentional things, made intentional decisions that compromised the health of the people of Flint. In Baltimore, we're making intentional decisions to keep our children safe by the way that we handle our water treatment. But there are limits to what we can do without investment. And that's why it's important to prevent these types of tragedies from occurring, to make those types of fiscal investments. I serve on the Environment and Public Works Committee. We're going to be marking up the Water Resources Development Act, the WRDA Act, and I know that there is bipartisan support, Madam Mayor, for increasing the federal participation for water infrastructure in this country. And I think Flint was a wake-up call, and I hope that my colleagues will approve the type of infrastructure improvements so America can modernize its facilities. The problem is out of sight, out of mind. People don't know the age of our systems here. All they want to know is make sure when they turn on their faucet, they get a water that they can drink, or when they use their shower and bathing facilities, that it's safe. We can only guarantee that by making the type of investments, particularly for future generations. So it's our hope that that legislation can pass. There's another bill that I introduced that would help those families that get clean water, safe drinking water from the city, but the connection to their house may be in a state that it's not safe for the water coming into their house. That's a private responsibility, but many homeowners cannot afford to make those types of improvements. They're expensive. They change the piping from this, where the water comes to your house into your house. And I've introduced legislation that would provide federal grants to low-income families so that they can guarantee that their children are in fact drinking safe water. I've also introduced a bill that the mayor referred to with Senator Durbin, which would update the EPA standards for safe drinking water so that we use the most recent standards and we have more transparency so that consumers understand what the quality of the water that they have. And lastly, I've introduced legislation that would direct the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, to monitor the lead content in our children's blood around the country, so that if we have bunching of high levels of lead, and by the way, I think you all know what the acceptable level of lead is today in a person's blood, a child's blood. It's zero. None is acceptable. Any amount of lead will cause damage to a child's full potential. So that risk factors we cannot have. So the legislation would direct the CDC to take a look at where we have problems to find out why. Is it the drinking water? Is it environmental risks? Is it airborne? What is the reason, so that we can take corrective actions to protect America's children? I hope that all four of these bills will be considered by this Congress when we consider the Water Resources Development Act. I know that there is bipartisan commitment to help improve our water supply in this country, both clean water, drinking water, and certainly to deal with the lead poisoning problems that we still have in too many places in America. So with that, I think today's visit has helped me focus on a facility in Baltimore. This is critically important. I think you all know, but Baltimore is the center spot for distribution of water in this region. 1.8 million people, consumers, depend upon the Baltimore City's filtration and water systems for safe drinking water. So this is critically important to the health of our community. We know that the city is doing a great job. We want to make sure that we have the investments for the future. And I can tell you on behalf of our congressional delegation, Senator Mikulski, Congressman Cummings, Congressman Sarbanes, and Ruppersberger, we're going to continue to fight, Madam Mayor, for a federal partnership so that you can do your job. The ratepayers can only pay a certain amount. You need a strong federal partner, and we're going to fight for that federal partnership. Thank you.
Director Chow, does Does Baltimore have any lead pipes in its system? And if so, does it show up anywhere?
No, we do not have any lead pipes in our public system.
So anything that would be that way would be like what the senator was saying, the connections maybe from the street.
That's correct. On the private side and the indoor plumbings, those are of a concern. But the city had replaced all of our lead pipes, distribution pipes, back in the 1990s.